Hey everyone, Phoebe Nubisi here, and in this video we will see how to run Azure pipelines inside our Azure DevOps repository for our Power Platform projects that we have built locally, and we will see how it will trigger any modification, will trigger the pipeline, that is push the project in dev, deploy it in dev, and deploy it in production after building everything. Yes, so let's go to our project VS Code. And on VS Code, I added the pipeline here. So I added it. So I will go to source control. And then it should show here. And then I will commit. I will stage it first. Stage this change. And then I will adding Azure pipeline to the demo project. And then I will commit the change. And then I will push the change. So it's pushing the changes right now. So once the changes are there, what we will do right now, I will show you this window where we have everything. So we have done the first part, we have put the file into our repository, and then we need to create the pipeline as second step in Azure DevOps. That means we go to Azure DevOps, we click on pipelines, we click on new pipeline, and we select our existing YAML file that we just committed, that we just pushed online, and then we continue. It says do not save and run yet, just set up it. So let's go do the step 2. Let's select pipelines and create a new pipeline. And once we select the new pipeline, the next step is choose your repo, existing repository. So we will take this repository, and then we will click existing Azure pipeline files, and then we click here, this is it here, and then we click continue. So we have it here. We will not run it yet. We do not run it here, we just have that pipeline here. So now that we have that, let's go back to our Word document for the next step. So the next step is to create 2 variable groups. So we go to pipelines, we create some variables group, and yes, we will not put the values yet because we don't have them yet. So let's create those variables: client ID, client secrets, tenant ID, environment ID. Yes, so we will have environment ID for dev and environment ID for production. Yes, so let's do that right now. So let's start with client ID first. The documentation says we have to go to pipeline libraries, and then here we click on new variable group. On the new variable group, we have a first variable group for development. So that's the name. So we add now a new variable, client ID. We don't have value yet. We need to create the application registration. We put the tenant ID, and we put the environment ID. Since my tenant ID is secret, I will lock it. Same for these values, we don't need to see them. I will lock all of them. So for now, I will save them without values and I will come back for the values. Let's do the same for the production one. Library, new variable group, and then we do the same. Then we lock everything. I will come back to put the right values later. Yes, when we have that, let's come back to our file. So the next step will be to create the environments and how to trigger them. So we go on pipelines, environment, and we create these values as well. So let's do that. So we click on environment here and we create environment. The first one will be the dev one. To add resources, we are not going to add any resource for now. On this here is asking if we have like any check, like any approval. Let's say you want to push to production, maybe you want some setup. Yes, so we will not put anything. These are all the checks. Maybe you want some post-check approvals by the admin or some branch controller, anything. So we will not add any check here. Let's do the same for production. So on production, we can put some checks. We can put maybe approver should approve, and then I will put my name. Allow approvers to approve their own runs. I would create. It's not necessary. It's just the demo for this video. So once we have done that step, the next step will be to do the service principal setup. So the service principal setup does not need any API permission. It does not need a redirect URI in the Azure portal. You only use the client ID and the client secrets, and everything else is configured in the Power Platform. Yes. And then we have two methods of building that service principal. The first method, we use the Power Admin create service principal command with your environment, with the role, and you attribute it in a role of system administrator. That's what I will use. There's another method that is very long, where you go to Azure portal, you register an applications, you create a client secret, you put API permission, and you give it dynamic CRM user impersonation, you grant admin consent, and then you go to the PowerShell module. When you have like PowerShell in your computer, you install the module for Power Apps administration, and for Power Apps PowerShell, you authenticate to the Power Platform using this command, add Power Apps account, and then you register that app with Power Platform. and you put the application ID here, and then you create that application user manually in the Power Platform Admin Center. So this one is very long. We will not do this method. We will do this one, pack CLI. So what I will do, I will come back to our project VS Code and I will execute that command. I will grab first the environment ID. Let me run it. So it's connecting to my account. It's creating the Azure Entra ID service principal. It's registering it. It's giving it now the role. So it's doing everything that the other method was doing, but we were doing it manually. Here it's doing it automatically. So it created the Azure Entra ID application, and then it created the service principal for us. It registered that application with Dataverse as application user. That was one of the steps. And then now it's creating the system user and assigning it a role of the system administrator that we asked. Just for you to see where it correlates, let's go back to the document. All these steps is basically doing the same. Now it's already at the last steps, but it's doing it automatically with this command, what we were doing on the method 2 manually. So it's already doing everything for us. So what this single command does for you, it creates a new Azure Entra app registration. It creates a service principal for that app. It generates a client secret. It registers the app with Power Platform with the application user. Let me go to Power Platform to show you how the application user looks like. So for the application user, let's go to Power Platform Admin Center. Let's go to Manage. Let's select an environment. The environments are still loading, like the dev, for example. So when you select it, you go to Settings, and then you go to Users, you click Application User. Yeah, so this is where we have all those applications that creates. Yeah, I've created some here, so this is where it put all those applications here. So let's come back to our VS Code. So it created Power Platform Dev. We have all the informations. Yeah. So we have everything set up for our Power Platform. Now we will go to the next step. So now that we have all the variables, I copied all the result that we got from VS Code. Let's go back to Chrome. So I'm running the pipeline now. So it's installing and building the app here. It has built the app, installed Node.js, installed the dependency, building the app, getting the artifact. Yes, and then once it finished that, it will move to the next step to deploy to the development environment. So it's asking me for permissions here. So let's go back first. Let me see. You see, it installed the Node.js tool installer, and then it's tracking everything. So we already built the code up here and we have the artifact. Now it's asking my permission. This pipeline needs permission to access 2 resources. Let me click on view. So it wants to access the Power Platform dev that I've created. So I will say permit. I will say permit for the variable group as well. So it's downloading Node.js again. It's installing, authenticating using Azure Entra. It says authenticated successfully. So we did it. It's connected to dev. Yes, and now it's pushing the code right now. It's pushing the code. It's reading the database. You see all the steps are right here. It's showing us all the steps that it's doing. Yes, this is so this is the npm install. These are just moderate vulnerabilities. So it will do everything. So after that, it will try to push. Oh, it succeeded. So it pushed to the environment. Now that means it has deployed our application to the dev environment. Now that is done, it will allocate the virtual machine and try to push also to the prod. To the prod, I don't think actually that the push to the prod will work. Why? Because I haven't created the service principal to the prod. Yes, so I just created to the dev environment, but you guys saw how it works. So you see how it works. We have built the artifact, we have deployed the application to the dev, the job is completed. Yes, like I mentioned to you, it will not work to prod because I have not created the service principal as an application to the prod environment. So it's previsible that it will not work, but you saw how the workflow does automatically. So that's how we build pipelines, and each time that I will modify the code on our local repository and I will commit it, it will trigger the pipeline again all the time, like on and on. Yes. So why this does that, I would like to show you actually the code for the pipeline so you see how it is structured, because that's the most important. Yes, you remember I have put like a check. You remember I have put a check here. Let me go back to the environments. In environment prod, you remember on approval check, I said all approvers must approve, and I have put my name there, and they have a timeout of 30 days. So now it's asking me to approve because I'm the approver, and I will just put approved and I will approve it. Yes, now that I have approved it, it will now acquiring the virtual machine. The virtual machine is Ubuntu. Yes, and it will run the pipeline. Alright, so why it does that, let's go back to our VS Code. And I will show you the pipeline. So this is the pipeline. I will show you all the steps. So you have the project folder, you have the variables here, that is 22 with one Node.js, at least 22, and then I give all the stages. We have the build stage, we have deploy to dev, deploy to prod. Now the build stage, what does it have? It has a job, build job, install lint, build. You have the node tools where we have the node version that is 22, and plus we have npm CI is actually the equivalent of npm run dev, and then we have npm run build. Yes, that will produce the artifact. So once we have that, we deploy to the dev environment where we take all the variable group our Power Platform that has, remember, the client ID, the client secret of the service principal. It has the tenant ID, and also it has the environment ID. So we take that and we take the environment that we created, that variable, we install again the Node.js tool, we authenticate all of that using the application ID, the secret, the tenant, and everything. We authenticate, and then we run again the npm run dev, the run build, and that's how we push to production, to the dev, that is a production environment. We do the same for the deployment in the production environment. That's how it's important to work with the variables. That's why we use this $sign to call variables inside, so that we will not have our real values inside the code. Yes. So let me know if you have any more questions. So one last time, I will show you the steps. The first step that we did is that we explain what the pipeline does. It make a build, it install the dependencies, and then it build the artifact, and then we deploy to dev, we deploy to the production, and the pipeline will trigger each time that you commit a new change and push it online on the remote repository. So what we did first, in the first step, we added our Azure pipeline, we pushed it, and then we created the new pipeline in Azure DevOps. After that, we created the variable groups. After that, we created the environment values, and after that, we created the service principal setup with this method. We have two methods. You can use pack admin center. Make sure that you have the Power Platform tool installed in your PowerShell before doing this, or you can use the second method where you run all these steps manually using the Azure portal. Thank you, and see you on the next video. Ciao.